The Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case is a really big deal right now. It's going on, and I know there are some people who have interpreted it as just two rich people squabbling or, a petty marriage fight that doesn't really matter in terms of the grand scale of things. But I actually really disagree with that, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit today and show a few clips from the trial. I also did want to say that I got these clips from the Law and Crime Network here on YouTube. Obviously, it's not like they own the court case, but if you want to see more clips of this, if you want to actually go see more in-depth stuff from them, I will leave the link in the description down below to their channel, because I don't really like taking clips from other channels regardless. I almost always try to avoid it, whether it's gameplay or anything, but I think that this is really good coverage of this and worth showing you. And also, if you want to see good day by day or week by week coverage on all of this, it's worth checking out my friend Alex Podcast Now's channel, because he's been actually covering this a lot more than me. I plan to talk about it now, and I plan to talk about it at the end of the trial. And unless something massive happens during the middle, that's kind of where I'll leave it, because this hits really close to home for me and is very personal to me. It's something that really bothers me, and I don't like trigger warnings and stuff like that in life. I think that a lot of times you're going to be hit with things that make you very uncomfortable, but when it comes to something this serious, this is going to be clips that cover domestic abuse, not showing it, but talking about it, and or should I say alleged domestic abuse and violence and emotional manipulation and other stuff. And the reason that I want to tell you that is because I know that for some people like me, that hits very, very close to home. I was in a relationship that was very toxic and very, very, very much on its way to becoming violent. I do want to say that for sure. It was a relationship with a girl that I used to be with. There's no way for anybody to figure out who this is. This was years ago. This isn't even something like the Amber Heard, op-ed or whatever, where it's like, well, it's very clear who she's talking about. No, this was just someone that I knew years ago, and we were very much, the sparks flew, but it was very, very bad. It was not a good situation, and it brought out the worst in both of us, and was really frustrating. And one of the reasons that the Johnny Depp case frustrates me so much, and one of the reasons why I 100% stand with Johnny Depp, is because I do believe that domestic violence is not taken seriously enough in the world at all, for men or women. Now, I want to say that clearly, because some people think that I've made this just about men when I talked about it before. I truly do believe it's not taken seriously enough for women. I've known people, close people in my own life, who have reported domestic assault to police, and the police just ignore it. Or they just say, well, there's not enough of a mark, so we can't do anything. And then they leave, and that person gets beaten more. That's actually happened. That's something I've seen happen in my life. I've also seen it where they come and the abuser manipulates the situation and makes them think the other person is the abuser. And it really, really fucking pisses me off. And that's a situation that I know that my relationship was on its way to. I would get calls in the middle of the night, yelling at me and needing me to do this or that. And I would do it, and it would never be good enough. I would, go out of my way all the time for this girl, and I'd end up being, kind of pushed out of my own life in a way to make room for her. And it's really frustrating to watch this trial and watch these clips for me because of that, to kind of see where that was going. I'm lucky enough that I had enough people around me who cared about me, who noticed, like, hey, you're becoming like suicidal again. You are starting to hate yourself and want out of your own life, and what's making you feel this way, that forced me to evaluate it, despite the gaslighting and despite the bad treatment. But it's really sad to me that, a situation like Johnny Depp, where this went on for a long, long time, it seems like, and there was a lot of vitriolic words said by strangers that have painted him in a bad light. I even saw this with recently when he testified Some genius tried to do a galaxy brain take, I believe, on the New York Post. I actually archived it. I'll leave it in the description down below because you can read it without giving them any money because, fuck them. Where they tried to say that he was just acting and it was all fake and stuff, even though if you want to go that route, it doesn't even make any sense because you can make the same exact claim of Amber Heard, who's also a professional actor. So I don't know. There's not enough. People don't take this stuff seriously enough. It's really frustrating to me, beyond what I can articulate in words. I'm usually better with my words. But when it comes to men too, yes, people don't take women's domestic abuse seriously enough. 100% I agree. And any domestic abuse. When it comes to men, there is a stereotype that they can't be abused. That you're a big, strong man. Why didn't you fight back? Or you're a big, strong man. How could this little girl hurt you? There's almost this weird sexist stereotype from everybody. It's from the right, it's from the left, it's from the middle, it's from everybody that that woman can't hurt you, despite the fact that we've pushed the bad bitch energy and feminism and all that stuff. Women are as good as men and all that, which I don't even disagree with. But then when it comes to this issue, women can't hurt men. If this kind of stuff bothers you, hearing more about it, I'm going to play a few clips and I will talk a little bit more about it. But, that's kind of your warning.
Eventually, I was sure that it was going to escalate into violence, and oftentimes it did. Many times it did.
And when you say violence, what are you referring to specifically?
Miss Heard, in her frustration and in her rage and her anger, she would strike out. She would... It could begin with a slap. It could begin with a shove. It could begin with, throwing a TV remote at my head. It could be throwing a glass of wine in my face. But all in all, it was just it was a constant. There was a built-in list of as I said, my personal experiences, which I gave to Miss Heard, those things were, those facts were used against me as weapons.
One of the things that ultimately frustrates me so much about this trial is all of these accounts of violence or gaslighting. This is something that people who manipulate others and abuse others and are willing to take advantage of others do all the time. They call into question your sanity and try to play it up they try and make it sound like you are playing it up beyond what it was. You're a crybaby, you're a loser. And there's always personal insults mixed in there. That's something to notice. It's never just, well, that didn't happen. It's a way to attack you and your character as a person and put you down for that and make you question what's actually happening. Well, how could this, 5 foot tall, 120 pound soaking wet girl, abuse me in some way? How could that happen? That can't be real, right? I must be imagining it. Or maybe I'm not reading positive intent into the situation. Maybe she's right. Maybe, I'm being childish about it. Or maybe I'm over exaggerating what happened.
For the record, this is an audio recording. It's quite lengthy, so we intend to play certain portions of it.
If you lost memory last night of kicking me out the door with the fucker hitting me,
Again,
and
sorry.
and your memory is gone from you kicking the bathroom door and hitting me in the skull as I was bent down.
I am
Wait,
sorry.
if you have those memory fucking divots.
I was upset. There was a lot going on,
okay,
and I was on an Ambien.
Okay,
why are you obsessing over the fact that I can't remember it the way you remembered it? I said I was sorry.
Okay,
I didn't deny
know
it.
That. I'm not talking about that. What I want
We're
to escape
working it out. That's
to
the
escape
problem.
the fight.
You don't escape the fight. You escape the solution.
No.
You escape the solution.
No.
You escape figuring it out. We cannot work it out if you run away to the bathroom every time.
Listen to me. Listen to me. A boxer can't go 12 rounds without a fucking minute break.
I'm not giving you a minute break. You do it at minute 3 at the beginning of an argument.
No. There are rounds, man. And when it gets too fucking hairy, the ref splits them apart or whatever. But all I'm saying is, you can't have a solution if the argument just keeps mounting and mounting and mounting and mounting. I fucking go into the bathroom and sit on the floor. Bam, 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 here you come. I come out. Fight, crazy, escalated. I go split again, I go to another fucking bathroom or a bedroom or something. Knock, 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 bang, bang, bang. You kept coming to get me. I'm not the one who fucking throws fucking pots and
Those are different. That's different.
fucking else at me.
That's different. That's one does not negate the other. That's irrelevant. It's a complete non sequitur. Just because I've thrown pots and pans does not mean that you come and knock on the door. Just because there are vases does not mean that you come and knock on the door.
Really, I should just let you throw.
I'm not saying that. You're saying that. You're putting words in my mouth and then making non sequiturs.
I'm giving you a situation.
No, you're trying to justify how you don't or do come to the door based on whether I throw pots and pans. It's irrelevant.
No, I'm justifying how you seem to think that there's this cowardice in me that runs away and I don't fight for you.
And you're justifying that by saying I throw pots and pans? Okay, cool. Let's talk about everything you do wrong.
I'm not the one who... I said to Travis, I said to you, hey, tell Travis what just happened.
You told me to do it. You told me to. You said, go do that.
I said, no, tell him what just happened.
And I lied.
And that you punched me in the fucking thing. And
you figured it out.
And you said, no, fucking, no, I didn't. What the fuck are you talking about? And I watched you lie. And then
I didn't punch you, by the way. I'm sorry that I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
Don't tell me what it feels like to be punched.
You know, even a lot of fights. You've been around a long time. I know. Yeah.
No, when you fucking have a close
You didn't get punched. You got hit. I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not fucking deck you. I fucking was hitting you. I don't know what the motion of my actual hand was, but you're fine. I did not hurt you. I did not punch you. I was hitting you.
How are you talking?
What am I supposed to do? Do this? I'm not sitting here bitching about it, am I? You are. That's the difference between me and you. You're a fucking baby.
Because you started...
You are such a baby! Grow the fuck up,
because you
Johnny!
started physical fights?
I did start a physical fight.
Yeah, you did, so I had to get the fuck out of there.
Yes, you did. So you did the right thing, the big thing. You know what? You are admirable.
Very much the tone and the aggression and the attitude and the need for a fight from Ms. Heard.
And it's really frustrating to me to see this gaslighting happen. This is the same kind of thing that people do who, assault their children, whether it be physically or sexually. This is the same kind of thing that people do who come home from work angry and would hit their wives, and play it down and it's her fault. The dinner's not done right, or, I had a bad day, so it's okay, that kind of thing. Or the guy who would come back from a bar and hit his kids and well, I didn't remember it. It wasn't really me. This kind of separation from it to excuse away everything and put the blame off on someone or something else. Even this is something we saw in like the op-ed. This is something we saw in some of her testimony where she tries to point out Johnny's problems, like his abuse of alcohol or drugs, and yet admits on recording to being abusing Ambien. And there was a doctor who said that it seemed like she was abusing drugs and all this other stuff. And people rolled with the narrative that he must be the bad guy because he's the man. That's what happened in this case. Now, I know that that's starting to flip. There are still people that are very, very in their camp, very dedicated to that take, but it is starting to change now. But you have to remember, when this all started coming out, like he said, Johnny lost his job on Pirates of the Caribbean 6 they were going to do. Now, whether or not you think there should be a Pirates of the Caribbean 6, or whether or not I do, is not the point. The point is that names or not in the op-ed, that affected his career immediately, which is one of the things you have to prove in defamation, that it affected your career. And I also know that some people don't feel bad for him because he has millions of dollars, but you have to think that's not what this is about. It's not about his background as a person or wealth or any of that. It's about, was this story spun about him true? Or was it the opposite? Was it false? And was this basically just gaslighting on an international scale? Not just gaslighting Johnny Depp, but gaslighting all of us into believing that this man was an abuser. But might I add, in a time period where people are afraid. Now, women were afraid forever. That's absolutely true. But I've had friends too where they were actually targeted by a false rape allegation. I had a friend in college where that happened. His ex said that he assaulted her because he found out that she had cheated on him with a couple of other girls and a guy. And he said, you can do whatever you want, but like, I loved you and that's not what I wanted for this relationship, and I'm going to be done. And he had every right to do that, but she didn't let it go. And so she arranged this situation where he would meet with her and talk to her, and they'd try and fix things up. And then she kind of used that as like during that he assaulted me type thing when they were alone, so that she almost arranged a ambush, right? Like a social ambush of get him alone, and then no one knows what we did when we were alone, so I'm going to say he sexually abused me. That's something that happened. This reminds me very much in a different way of this Amber Heard case.
The squabbling, the raising of the voice to essentially excommunicate anything that I had to say about the situation. But then, and I do remember that incident. I believe that's from the when I was in the bathroom, and I was in fact taking a shower, and she came banging on the door, banging on the door, banging on the door. I didn't answer. I was in the shower. I couldn't deal with it. I didn't want to deal with anymore. And then I finally got out of the shower and I opened the bathroom door about just that much, just so I could have a good hold on the door in case she tried to burst in. And I was right, she did. Bathroom doors go in. She was pushing all her weight on the door, trying to get in. And I was pushing back because I didn't want to let her in, because I obviously didn't want the confrontation. She was not in the best of moods. You can hear. I was pushing the bathroom door, trying to close it, and was almost closed. She suddenly kind of yelped in pain. And she screamed out, "Ow, my toes or my foot or something." And so in that second, I thought possibly her foot had gotten caught under the door, which would, of course, not feel great on the foot or the toes, so I thought she was maybe injured. So I knelt down to have a look. The door was still, it was still pretty well about that much open. And when I knelt down on my hands and knees to look at her foot to see the injury, she kicked the bathroom door into my head. Yeah, she kicked the bathroom door into my head, and I was completely taken aback by such a corrosive, horrific move. So I stood up, and I believe I stood up, and at this point the door was open. I stood up and I said, I think I said, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? And the next move was just a bang. It just she clocked me in the jaw, and that was another shocker.
You hear his testimony about how, she played up and, like maybe her foot got hurt and he let his guard down. She slammed him in the head and then punched him in the face and all this other stuff. It's like these people, these abusers, they're very calculated. I know that people like Dexter and Patrick Bateman and these fictional psychopaths like that because they're likable. But real life psychopaths, I'm sure there are some that are likable, but real life psychopaths a lot of times, or real life people who are abusers at the very least, they are very good at manipulating emotional situations and making you out to be the bad guy, or spinning a narrative, or finding a way to get ahead of you. Almost the whole thing of like, no one will believe that you were abused, you weren't hit, or you weren't punched, I hit you. It's not the same thing. No one will believe you, that kind of stuff. They can anticipate the situation ahead of time. And why do you think that they do that? It's because they're afraid of getting in trouble. They know deep down that what they're doing is wrong. It's just that they don't care. That's the difference. Like, you can know that what you're doing is wrong and not give two shits about it. And that's really what I see in this case. That's what frustrates me so much. And as someone who got out of a situation before it got quite this far, it's very hard to talk about and very hard to look at and watch. And all of this is why I stand with Johnny Depp and believe him. There has been a movement for a long time, believe all women, right? Where people can't be wrong. We have to assume that they are truthful and right from the start. But life is not black and white. It's just not. You have a bad person or a bad actor or a person who wants to take advantage of a movement like that that's designed in good faith. It's designed in good faith to give people a voice after, it's felt like they've had none, right? And a person comes in and they take advantage of that sort of movement and mindset and morality to try and further themselves and their own existence and goals, and hurt those around them who they feel wronged by, or who they want to get out ahead of and wrong before, the truth comes out.
It was not to help the relationship. It did not help the relationship. It wasn't meant to help the relationship. It was meant to feed her need for conflict. She has a need for conflict. She has a need for violence. It erupts out of nowhere, and what I learned, the only thing I learned to do with it is exactly what I did as a child. Retreat. Just take a step back, which I told her, we need to remove ourselves from each other, even for an hour, a day, anything. Because this can't go on. No one can live like this, But why did I stay? I stayed, I suppose, because my father stayed. I suppose because I had been in that relationship with Vanessa, and that was lost, and I didn't want to fail.
And it's really frustrating, and I hope that this is something people are learning from. I hope that this is something people are learning not all men are truthful. Not all women are truthful. Not all white people are truthful. Not all black people are truthful. Not all Asian people are truthful, or all Latino people, or all LGBTQ people, or all anything. There's no group, no religion, not all Christians or Islamic people or Buddhists or atheists or whatever. There is no one group of people that is morally righteous above all others and can do no wrong and is not above reproach and can just be taken at face value forever. Questions have to be asked. This is why when people say things like, you know, we have to believe all allegations right when they happen, I'm always on the train of, well, now hold on. As someone who had a friend falsely accused of that, and the police literally proved it didn't happen. They proved that she was lying, right? And he could have sued her for that, but walked away to avoid more problems. This guy who I knew who got kicked out of college for it had to go to a different college because of this. Even though the police proved this was wrong, it wasn't good enough for the bastards on the college boards, for the deans and these other self-righteous pricks. It wasn't good enough for them. It's the same thing as Disney. It's with Pirates of the Caribbean. People try and distance themselves from you to avoid a perceived public outrage, whether it's there or not. So when I see something like that, or I see something where I was very much bullied by a 5-foot-tall girl who knew that if I reacted wrongly, I would be the aggressor and she would be the victim.
You can please tell people that it was a fair fight and see what the jury and judge thinks. Tell the world, Johnny. Tell them Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence, and
yes.
It's a fair fight. And see how many people believe or side with you. Because you're bigger and you're stronger. And so when I say that I thought you could kill me, that doesn't mean you counter with you also that you lost your own finger.
On purpose, when I see things like this and I see people spin the narrative to like believe all women or even the opposite, like women are liars and they're, I've seen this too, like this shows what women are really like. That's not true either. There are people in this world who are horrible people who deserve to be held accountable, and people need to listen and people need to realize it and point them out. And I really do believe we're all at fault when we don't listen and when we don't point it out and when we don't warn others of it and get ahead of that and prevent these people from hurting other people. I stand with Johnny Depp. I'm very sad. It's very difficult to talk about, and I'm interested to hear what you think in the comments down below about the whole thing. If you, got something out of this video, I don't even want to say enjoyed, but it probably wasn't very enjoyable. It wasn't very enjoyable to talk about. If you got something out of this video, I'd be interested in that, to hear, what you have to say, and I appreciate you being here. The channel continues to grow thanks to you. I'm someone who years ago had no voice at all, and now I feel like there's at least a few people who listen to me, and it's very helpful to me, as a person. I appreciate that. That's why I appreciate people who do subscribe and do watch this channel and care about what we have to say, and I appreciate it, and I recommend you go check out the Law and Crime Network. They have more clips of this. I recommend you check out Alex Podcast Now's channel. He's talking about this a lot more in depth than me, and I think that he's able to rein in his emotions on it a lot better than I am. There's a reason I don't talk about stuff like this very often, but I hope you have a good day today.